as the sun comes up across this country. What about Justin Turner testing positive for COVID, then going back out on the field after testing positive during the game? All of this is just such a cluster. JP on the Outkick VIP, what you got for me?
Hey, Clay, I think it's a big middle finger to the coronabros because they tried canceling the season for basically all the sports. And I think that Turner's decision to go out there is like, what if I had a false positive and I didn't celebrate my first and only World Series title? So that's, what I thought was a big thing. And I think the eyes kind of turned to Rob Manfred, and if he's going to punish Turner maybe next year, especially after going so light on the Astros.
That's interesting questions all across the board. I don't think there's any doubt. Dub, who's up on your end?
Yeah, we got Jared in Kansas City.
Jared, what do you think?
Hey, Clay. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I would have been there on the field just like Justin Turner. I mean, your first title in 32 years or whatever it was. Yeah, so congrats to the Dodgers. Something everyone's doing good. We might as well just get in, just get this virus done with. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call. At 32 years, Justin Turner's been a big part of the World Series teams that have not won. They had to deal with the Astros issue. And then with basically one inning left in the game he had played almost the entirety of, I think they said the notice of the second positive test came in the 8th inning. He suddenly gets pulled and he's not allowed to have access to his teammates anymore. I can see the argument of why that is an absurdity. Who's up next, Dub?
Yeah, last one here. We got David in California.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, sir. I'm wondering how reliable the tests are, because I had a neighbor that tested positive, and then they tested him the next day, and it came out negative.
Thanks for the call. I think that's a big issue in general. Most people don't get tested multiple times. So what we have seen with athletes and with coaches, Nick Saban is a good example, is they have the resources if they test positive to then get tested again to see whether it might have been a false positive. Most of you out there listening to me right now, if you ever test positive for COVID, you assume you had it and you don't ever get tested again. And so to me, athletics is pointing out how often we are getting false positives when it comes to the tests at play here. And that is a major issue because it means that we have otherwise healthy people isolating themselves from all human activity when they have absolutely nothing wrong with them. And not only those people, everybody that they came in contact with oftentimes. An entire household may shut down over a positive test when nobody's actually got it. And so I understand the Justin Turner perspective of saying, screw it. I also understand his teammates. They've spent all of this time living in a COVID era with Justin Turner. And so they know that there's lots of false positives. They just won the World Series. They also know that virtually no one around their age is having any issues with COVID at all. We treat a COVID positive test like a huge story, but when all the players come back and had no issues with it, like happened with the Tennessee Titans, like happened with the Miami Marlins, like happened with the St. Louis Cardinals, nobody actually reports on it very much. And so I think this is just a fascinating mess of an issue that happened for Major League Baseball, very fortunately for them, at the very end of the season, as opposed to potentially if the Rays had won Game 6, if Blake Snell doesn't get pulled, then we might have to postpone Game 7 for a week and allow all these tests to be going on to see when it's quote-unquote safe to play the game again.